Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Sacred Fire. It's been a long time since I was last able to record this, and for that I apologise. I had some major life issues crop up, a family health emergency, which, while it wasn't my health, it was still pretty serious and I had to nurse an ailing relative. Things are much better now though. I've been getting back slowly on top of things, one game at a time, and it's time for Sacred Fire. Now, since I last recorded, there's been a couple of small updates to the game. Some additional options and outcomes have been added to this upcoming chapter, and most importantly of all, the developers have added what they describe as 10 tracks of ambient nature music to be used in the end of chapter sections. So hopefully there'll be a lot less copyright claims going forwards. Although I'm hearing a very familiar music track now, which is the one that always seems to get claimed. So let's move on as quickly as we possibly can. Yep. You must really have been out of it, because when you next wake, your group is waiting at the Hillfort gates. So as you remember, last time we had fought with the Romans and were now refugees fleeing to this fortress for protection. We were seriously injured in the fighting and missed out on a lot of stuff, probably on the way here. It's windfall and Wid has returned. When he sees you stand, he jumps to your side.
How are you?
He asks.
Claire told me you woke up and had something to eat, but that was days ago.
He's obviously worried. And we have stuff. What do we have? Mindset. More mindset. Okay. Incomplete. Can't trust anyone. Not good around people. Don't have what it takes. No, I'm not incomplete. You know what? I am a good person. I've been able to do great things with and without the help of our lots of people. And speaking of people, more people. The stranger, what do we know about her? She's hardworking. She is the mystery archer. She's an expert healer. She cares about people who are hurt, right? We'll put a bit in there. And I kind of want to hold on to the rest of these points for a little while yet. Claire must be the name of the healer who's been caring for you. Yes, and if we hadn't somehow upset her by accidentally letting our friend kill the boy when we thought she was going to protect him, then we would have probably learned her name earlier in the camp. Also, that spelling of Claire without the E is very anachronistic, very modern. By very modern, I mean like within the last 4 or 5 years. It's more like the French au clair de la lune, the French word rather than the name. Your body hurts from being carried around, but to your surprise you feel strength returning to your limbs. What do? I'm fine, Wid. There's a friendship check. Okay, well, we're obviously trying to get more control, right? Why didn't you kill that commander? I don't think I should ask that. Hostility? That's a lot of... We've got a lot of guilt. He's got even more anger. That's even worse. Where's Luan? Attain said she's gone. Right. Yeah, let's boost. All right, let's...
What? You mean back in the valley?
He asks, surprised. A lot has happened for Wid since then.
Injuring him was the safest way to get the Romans to retreat,
He explains. And that's a good reason. How do you react? No, I'm not going to berate him. Still wish he was dead. I recall we're playing this character as a sort of benevolent leader type, so I see. Thank you for saving my life.
What matters is that you're back on your feet, sister.
He adds joyfully. That didn't sound too joyful, it sounded kind of bland and a bit flat. And we've got another point. We can afford to spend some motivation points. We've got plenty here. What do you do? Surprisingly, I feel quite alright. Where's Luan? Etain said she's gone. We don't know for sure, he says, pain and regret darkening his eyes, and his inexplicable American accent making him sound less Celtic than he should. Igraine slunk away in the aftermath of the battle and took Luan with her, he says. Ooh, betrayal. Did that increase? No, resisted. Good.
As soon as we made it out of the mountains, I headed back to look for them.
He starts with a sigh. Okay, so it's a slightly softer accent, but still it's fair. How could Claire keep this from me? I barely know the woman. Is she dead? No, and... No, I'll let him finish.
There was no trace.
He shakes his head. That's disturbing.
The old man leading the refugees mentioned that Igraine knew another hiding place.
And she's bitter enough to use it against us.
He took me there, and I discovered signs of a fight, but no indication that Luan had been there.
A fight? A fight with Romans or a fight with Celts? It would help to know.
We observed their camp for a time, but they have no prisoners.
So another Celtic faction, perhaps. She's really making herself an enemy, but... Look, he's our brother. Why is this... Because it's more challenging, it's arguably more rewarding. Why would we do this? No. I'm sorry, Wid. Thank you for trying.
I didn't expect Igraine to make such a stupid mistake.
He sighs in frustration. Where's Claire?
She asked us to stand back while she speaks to the captain of the Royal Guard.
So when Etain told us the girl is gone, she did mean Luan and not Claire. That was not clear in the last chapter. It seems he thinks the Fort Guard may be listening in. Good point. I mean, it's the kind of thing that is their duty, after all. You know, security, paying attention to people murmuring and whispering. It could be skullduggery, after all.
She's trying to negotiate a swift entrance for us.
He nods towards the Hillfort gate. The captain is nowhere to be seen, but Claire seems not to mind. Okay, she is here with us now.
Etain went inside a while ago herself, so this shouldn't take much longer.
And Etain is a member of the Royal Guard, so they should let her in at least. Go speak to Claire. That'll piss off Wid. Why should I do that? Think about this, yeah. You remember that closing the gate and refusing entry is the ancient way to distinguish friend from foe. Are they then stating hostility, or are they checking us out first before they let us in? If they're hostile, they'll try to force their way in. If they're friendly, they'll wait for night. Your best bet is to let Claire handle this, as she must know the captain of the Royal Guard, and she has no earlobes. It looks really freaky. What do you do? I will not push towards the gate. I'll look around and wait. The people around you look exhausted. Many don't have the strength to stand and sit in the mud. So, I believe saving the boy's life in the battle caused Igraine and the orphans to stay with us, and Igraine kicked up a fuss, started demanding to try and get in with the children, and that was when I played this off camera well, last year now. Anyway, there are changes, things are different now, let's enjoy it. The people around you look exhausted. Many don't have the strength to stand and sit in the mud. Their faces are strained and they keep glancing back up the trail as if fearing calamity will strike them down so close to safety. Indeed, the Romans may come upon us. What do you make of it? I'll wait as patiently as I can with 86% off. That 86, 85, 1 point apart! So close! Just when your patience is running thin, the gate cracks open and the royal guard comes out, or even issues forth. They have some very fancy headbands. This looks like it could be Celtic. This twisted. The twisting, yes. This black portion looks maybe a little modern. And before you say, yeah, he's got very short hair, actually, Celtic hair styles for this time period, it's a bit on the short side, but not massively so. A little bit longer and greased up and spiked for war, or even like down to somewhere between jaw and shoulder length would be common, with a big heavy fringe, and a drooping moustache that would go down like this would be quite common. Their leader impatiently beckons Claire to approach, and she does so. Look, she knows him, we don't. Stay out of it. The way he scans the crowd reminds you of a caged bear you once saw. Probably a wooden cage. You can't shake the feeling he's hoping someone will step into his cage so he can lash out. If it was a metal cage, then it was built by the Romans. The Celts at this time did have, capability for metalwork, but didn't make many large metal things like the kind of cage you could put a bear in. That would be more likely to be wooden, with maybe wooden sharpened stakes to keep the bear away from the edges. New insight about Captain Unlocked. He is looking for a fight. See, now we've got people, right? We got the guard captain. Now, is this worth it? Friendship and hostility, maybe. We'll see what else comes up. This is a royal palace, and that's a lot of fear. We should not be afraid. We've got someone here who is, has some kind of authority, who can speak on our behalf. Let's trust them and let those motivation points keep on going down. And because we're making enough progress to refill a lot of lost motivation points here. Draping a possessive arm around Claire's shoulders, he whispers into her ear. So they're close. Maybe he's her brother, or a suitor, or something. Her whole body stiffens and she glances back, visibly distressed. You try not to flinch at this reaction. The stiffening, probably because of what he's saying about us, but the fact that she stiffens so quickly implies he's not family, not a brother. Because then she might stiffen more slowly. Tricky. What do you do? Approach, make sure she's right? Nope. Stay still. Think about this, and then stay still. You recall she's a competent warrior and healer. She doesn't need you to protect her. Especially after the kicking I took from that Roman centurion. They know each other, probably since childhood, so she knows best how to handle him, which is why you're certain the captain thinks himself above the rest and would respond harshly to you getting involved, and he was looking for a fight. And we're not cruising for a bruising. Which would draw Wid in, and things could escalate quickly from there. What do you do? Stay still. I tell you what, this game is almost like an autistic person's dream. I get to understand people, their motivations. It's great! You can see Wid appreciates that you didn't get involved. He does not approach. To your surprise, it's Claire who whispers in the captain's ear now. Well, not necessarily. He spoke, she speaks back. That's kind of how conversations work, generally, in polite society at any rate. His stance relaxes slightly and he gives the signal to open the gate. What do you make of it? He's an arsehole. Look, I don't know the guy enough. I obviously don't know who's who. Sure. That's a permanent stat bonus. Royal snobs. No, look, I don't know these people well enough to make judgment just yet. And bearing in mind that we're heading down a sort of leadership path with the way this story is being told, we shouldn't be too early to judge. As if reading your mind, the captain turns and locks gazes with you. Okay, stick my tongue out. Calmly return his stare. He won't like that. Look away. He won't respect me. Pretend to be distracted by a neighbour. Wow! Okay, no, I'll just take it as a negative anger flares up in his eyes, but Wid steps in and blocks his view.
What are you doing? We need to gain entry and join forces with them against the Romans.
He growls in a low voice. Well, just having a bit of fun with the locals. The captain's arrogance makes you itch to take him down a notch, but you're not ready to be this calm about it. I have a feeling this will be bad. Negative experience. No, okay, well, I'll just... As much as you hate Wid interfering, you realise you need to play along to gain access to the fort. Okay, look, I'll push it.
The only one who benefits if we fight amongst ourselves is the Romans.
Wid reasons calmly. Claire and Wid manage to defuse the situation, and the loud thump of the gate informs you that the captain has left. He's gone back inside. People shake their heads and berate the guards for not letting them in. That's gonna... yeah, his reputation is suffering from that. What do you make of it? He needs to be brought down? No. Aversion? No, Wid had a fair point. The Romans benefit from this more than either us or the people inside. To your surprise, the woman who tended to your wounds after the duel with the Centurion approaches you. This is not Claire, this is the other person who protected us earlier. Our first battle with a Roman.
Look, the gods showed me favor. I was very lucky you were there to save my life. But they weren't entirely ungrateful towards you in that moment either.
She offers a gentle smile, and we're getting this point back anytime soon, so we can definitely afford to spend a little bit more this chapter. I know, you fixed my wounds and I'm grateful. What do you mean? Asking her so she gets to voice it, that gives her more agency. I'll express my gratitude, however.
I have standing here. I can help you and your people if that's your wish.
She offers. Oh. Okay. That's interesting. And I need to step away for a moment. And I'm back. That was the aforementioned ailing relative asking for a little help with something. It's been dealt with, but it was important. Alright, so she's offering to help us. That's nice, but do we want to impose? Right, this is a favour, calling in a favour essentially, that we might not get. The chance may not come again. But if we use her to get ourselves inside the fort before they're willing to let us in, that might be a bad thing. What do you say? Can you get me inside now? Can you help my people find shelter once inside? Let you know if I need anything. That'll make her feel +1 refugee's sorrow, so they'll feel sad and miserable, like they're not able to help. No, look, once we get inside, can you make sure people get somewhere safe to rest?
I will open my house to the wounded and share my food with the rest.
She pledges, pleased to have found a way to repay you. And also to look after her own people. So her home is inside the walls, I see. That's why she has a claim to be able to go in. To your surprise, the huge gateway opens once again, and an undersized boy walks out and asks for Wid and his sister. He is finely dressed and seems to recognize Wid as he aims towards him, unfazed by this group of strangers staring at him. With that amulet, he's a person of some import, like a page boy or herald. A little young for that. Yeah, I've got a name too, you know. I'm not going to scare him. I'll wait for him to speak. Let Wid handle this. We are lower status. We're outside the walls. He speaks first. He's clearly come out with a purpose. So let him deliver his message.
Queen Morrigan invites you to the main hall.
Morrigan, the goddess of what sort of chaos, slaughter, destruction. Morrigan, the Morrigan brought about the death of Cuchulainn in the end because isn't she the one with like the 3 washerwomen at the ford, washing a bloodstained shirt, and if you recognise the shirt as your own, it means you're going to die. And Cuchulainn refused to help them, so they made sure he died in the battle. Something like that.
If you would follow me, please.
He gestures ahead, but waits respectfully for your response. The polite thing to do is just follow him quietly at this point. These choices affect story branching. A royal welcome, what do you think, brother? They didn't mention food. That's insulting, right, Wid? Probably shouldn't say that in front of him. Lead the way. Just trusting. He doesn't have authority, he's just here to deliver the message and show us the way. He's like a servant, you know. Not going anywhere until my people are safe. I'm not gonna make demands of him because he has no power to fulfill them. A royal welcome. What do you think, brother?
This is unexpected. We'd better not keep the Queen waiting,
he says, shaking his head. Indeed. We'll gesture for the boy to lead on and follow. We could ask his name. That's personal, and he's not personal. He's servant. It would be nice to ask him this, but he would be like, what are you asking me for? You shouldn't be paying attention to me. You should just be coming with us. No, we'll just follow. We're not gonna... No, we're just going to follow. Someone must be watching you approach as the gate opens and the boy steps in. Of course. The first thing you notice once inside is how high and thick the walls are. This restores an underlying sense of security you didn't realize had been missing over the last few days. Hey, trauma reduction, that's great! You couldn't help but wonder how Hadrian felt growing up as a child in such a secure and majestic place. What do you make of it? I was worried about her, but she's been living like a queen. No, better ask her about it before jumping to conclusions, you know. Why would I be jealous? The boy waits a moment for you to get your bearings, then leads you up the hill towards the main hall. I'm thinking next playthrough, go for a more Viking-type character. I'd like to try a combat run, but it's really difficult, the fights. They are... It's not that... Well, the fights are just very challenging, you know.
Leave your weapons here.
At the hall's entrance, a royal guard commands. Leave your weapons here. 95, sure. Look, I can afford to throw away on that.
I understand. We must follow your rules as guests in this house.
Wid narrates for your benefit and hands over his axe. Yeah, sure, I was going to... You know, what do you do? Surrender your weapons? Absolutely, yeah. Think about this, because it'll get me some points of control. You feel being observed and tested, and the pressure prevents you from focusing your thoughts. Does it, heckers like? It is, as Wid said, the guard didn't block your way. They're not really afraid of you. If we make any trouble, they can deal with us. They're just testing your goodwill and patience. Something you'll all need, especially if there's a possibility of a prolonged Roman siege. But you recall how distressed Claire was, a reminder this place might not be as safe as it looks. This is no Edoras. At least. Surrender all weapons? Absolutely. Not going to smuggle in a dagger.
You may retrieve them on your way out.
He nods, carefully setting your gear onto a separate pile. It takes a moment for your eyes to adjust as you step into the main hall.
Welcome, welcome. Come inside and dine with me. Warm yourself by the fire.
A friendly but authoritative voice beckoned you forwards. Didn't sound very authoritative, I must say, yet.
I apologize for the delay at the gate.
The word apologise was more authoritative. I'll take it. The Queen says in a friendly tone.
But with our warriors out observing the Roman advances, we have to be cautious.
She explains. At least she looks old enough to have some wisdom. There's a few lines in her face that show years of experience on the throne. What do? Whisper to Wid. See? That's an invitation. She said dine. Why would I... Thank you, Queen Morrigan. No, I should, Right. I'll let him handle this because I've got plenty of high status already. Nowhere near as much for Queen, and he deserves some too. He's done really well. Wait. He feels protective of Etain, leading his heart, sure. And we have the Queen, of whom we have no insights yet, but it'll probably be worth putting some points in there in a little while, if we get any. Wait, mindset? A new one? It would be nice to see new thoughts appearing in the mindset tab, so we're all alone in the end. No, we're working together, to survive against the Romans. I can put in a hefty amount of resistance to that thought. I'll let Wid handle this.
Thank you, Queen Morrigan.
Wid makes sure his voice carries all the way back to the throne. Also, I believe he's my older brother, so he, Yeah. Thank you, Queen Morrigan. The sudden silence in the large hall and the many eyes on you unnerve you and the words stick. Well, we can't have that now, can we?
I hear you already won a battle against the Roman legions.
The Queen starts, looking directly at you.
And eliminated one of their generals.
She continues, still looking past Wid. Well, not exactly. This catches you off guard. It's the last thing you'd expect, that the Queen would credit you with leading your people to victory. There's one mistrust. So we trust her more from this. I'd respond, yes, my Queen. Our people did. Wid took down the commander and the enemy retreated. Sure. Wait. Claire gains renown if Wid answers. Now we know he's humble and he won't say this himself, so...
I hear it was you who planned the battle, sounded the alarm, and went toe-to-toe with the general.
Yes, my queen, I did my part, but Wids saved my life and won the day.
Are you suggesting I am ill-informed?
She asks. The edge in her voice makes the hall go silent. I'll think about this, but I'm probably picking option 2. Her reaction seems exaggerated, and you notice she's more curious than mad. She must be testing you. I'm simply sharing my account of events, my queen.
A measured reply. Are you sure you haven't visited our halls before?
She smiles. There is a pause before she speaks up again, her voice playful.
Tell me what you make of this. Should men and women mate with just one partner or many?
That's potentially a more modern question. It would depend on the situation. You know, if many have died and we need to rebuild a community, it may change. But overall, no. We don't want people getting jealous and say, hey, you shagged my wife, you bastard, I'll kill you, and stuff like that. No, monogamy is good, especially in this time period. That's an odd question to ponder on an empty stomach. You know, even some animals mate for life, and we're something more than that. We should stick to one. I'll think about it. The change in topic is so sudden that it must be something she prepared beforehand. Indeed, it's a test. And if you let her, she might continue and reveal where she stands. I have a feeling you're not finished with your question, my queen.
Claire told me you were perceptive.
The queen nods.
Some people live like eagles, swift and free, moving with the wind.
She begins.
Others live like turtles, slowly crawling across whatever patch of dirt they lighted upon.
Turtles. In Iron Age Scotland. More likely she would have heard of tortoises from Greece and and Rome. And, you know, from the Mediterranean countries to the south. Turtles are more American, more sort of further, like South America, North America, maybe like some parts of Africa as well. That she is a queen, she's educated, she has lots of information, but for all to... Because, like, you know, when Hermes made the lyre, in Greek mythology, he made it from a tortoise, not a turtle. He persuaded the tortoise to let him bash out its head with a rock and scoop out its body and eat it, and then use the shell to make the body of the lyre. What do you say? Oh, I'm sorry, imagining all these animals making me hungry. Thank you for sharing your story. Who wouldn't want to be the eagle in your story, my queen? You know, all the flying around that eagle does sounds exhausting.
Should life be easy? Isn't love worth the effort?
She retorts. You can tell she's had this conversation before. I imagine she's not very loyal to her husband. Or at least she likes to flirt with the concept of affairs and see how people respond, if they are shocked, if they are... She is a queen. She should value loyalty among her subjects. If she cannot exhibit loyalty to her position and her countrymen, herself, then why should they express loyalty towards her as a leader? The best kind of love is the one you don't have to struggle for. I think love can't be rushed. It will find you on its own. Those are good questions, my queen. I'll give it some thought. I don't know, my queen. You can't... If there's anything life's taught me, you really can't rush love. You try and they just don't want to know.
But is it wise to leave something so important to chance?
She objects. Ah, risk chain, but we're in a risk chain now. It's wise to not try and force a river to flow your way. It's brave. I don't know, my queen. That's a very wise question, my queen. This is before King Canute walked into the ocean to prove to his, well, and to prove he could not command the sea to go back and withdraw, and could not command the tide to stay away, and then forced all his courtiers to do it to prove they couldn't do it either. For something like an hour or 2 hours. It's wise to not try and force a river to flow your way. For the first time, the queen is considering her reply, so you must have surprised her. Ooh, 45. Claire. Interesting. Based on Claire's subtle smile, you can tell this doesn't happen often. And we got a good response out of her, apparently. Out of Claire, not the queen. Is that an insight? It's not an insight, is it? Nothing yet. Okay.
But where are my manners? You must be starving,
She says. She waves her hand and the servants start bringing the food. Let's take our seats. Wid smiles and gives you a nod of approval. Stuff yourself and drink the best wine. We get back a health point. Vitality even. Eat and drink moderately. Eat just a little and don't drink at all. My people are outside. They too are waiting. I will not overindulge. And I can afford to spend my points. The queen whispers to the boy and he picks up her goblet and carries it to you. Take it and nod your thanks to the queen. Raise it to your lips and drink. Sympathy. Set it on the table. Refuse it. It's a negative experience if I thank her because she's my superior. No. Right, let's see. Iron Age Celt, I'm not going to refuse the wine and say I don't drink wine. But I could refuse it and say, look, I will not, I shouldn't drink until my people have supped. Set it on the table. That's a good midway. But this is a royal command, so no. Before anyone can react, the door to the hall swings open and slams against the wall. What do? Turn to see who barged in. Get rid of the queen's goblet. Act indifferently and keep eating. This is... right. The instinct is to turn and see who's come rushing in so loudly. As a leader, the powerful thing to do is to not turn, because the guards will take care of it if it's trouble. You can hear many heavy footsteps and the clatter of arms and shields approaching. They stop next to you. All eyes in the room turn to you. What am I doing? No, look, I've got food and drink and points to spend,
Who is this ill-mannered animal eating at my table?
Comes an angry roar which must belong to the king. Okay, at that point I probably should turn round. Turn and face your accuser. He doesn't like that. Isn't it ill-mannered to interrupt the Queen's dinner unannounced? Burp. I'll wait for the Queen to introduce me. It would be ill-mannered to introduce myself.
King Uther, you come unannounced.
Queen Morrigan intervenes.
They led our people to victory against the Roman legions.
She adds, after properly introducing you and Wid. To your surprise, the king steps back. Noticing the Queen's goblet, his eyes burn with smouldering hate. She's showing me favour that she doesn't always show him. He really, really, really looks like a guy I used to know, but a lot older. But it's the man next to him who speaks, a man who is not the king. And therefore either someone who speaks with severe authority, or one who oversteps the mark.
You, commoner, report on their strength.
He commands Wid with a dismissive wave of his hand. You've never heard a more grotesque voice, but the stranger's eyes are icy and his men armed, so no one's laughing. The scarring on his face hints that the same injuries affect his speech. I think his voice could have been more grotesque. But then, it still could be the worst we've ever heard. That's a lot of fear. Very scary man. The fear does you know what? We'll do it. Let's control that fear. Wid remains unmoved, his face unreadable.
Are you deaf, or must I beat some wits into you?
We hear a bit of a wet rattle in his voice there. And a little bit of a lisp. It is now becoming more grotesque. And who the hell are you? Raider King's aversion. So we have the king. The Romans. So the Raider King is not on any of these lists. He doesn't have a power rating. He's not enemy, he's not a follower, obviously. We have no understanding of the Queen yet. What about the King? No insight here either. If we cause a fuss, the Captain of the Guard is likely to step in. Claire's likely to keep out of it. She's a healer, she's not a fighter. Etain, I don't think, is even present. Snort contemptuously. No, I'll let Wid handle this.
My queen?
Wid asks in a calm voice. The stranger moves like an adder. In an instant, he has a blade to Wid's throat. But Wid is even faster. He uses a candle holder from the table to lock the blade in place. Now, previously, when I played this, Wid picked up a fork from the table and used it to lock the blade in place. Now, to snatch up a fork, to place the fork... Well, first off, a fork, a very modern, late medieval to early Renaissance eating implement. Some forks were used in this time period. A very few forks have been found from this time period in the Middle Eastern and sort of Greco-Roman area. But no, like literally in Greece, Bulgaria, countries just to the, Romania maybe almost. Countries literally around the Eastern Mediterranean. Up here in Britain, however, you'd pretty much be eating with a knife and a spoon. Or just a knife. So, additionally, to raise a fork, the fork would need to be horizontal, so he'd need to get his whole wrist up to his throat. Unless he's coming behind the knife and caught it, in which case there's nothing stopping the knife going towards his throat anyway. So unless the knife blade is vertical and like coming up under his chin, in which case he's come up and caught it in the it's still a bit tricky, but if he just gets the candle holder between his throat and the knife, that's good enough. Candlesticks at this time did exist. They would likely be a single candlestick. The sort of candelabra branching candles holders are rare at this point. But it works. And I'm being pestered. Oh joy. One moment, please. So, Wid has a candle holder to protect his neck from a vicious blade. Now, for this man to draw a knife and threaten the life of a guest in the king's hall, he's acting like the king. You know, he's acting as if he has more power. He's either acting on the king's behalf, or he is seriously overstepping the bounds of the power and authority he should be exerting here. And I'm just going to quickly check that's recording. Yep, good. Out of nowhere, the captain of the guard steps forward to put the tip of his blade to the stranger's throat. Okay, that's 2 blades to throat. They'd be more likely to threaten the heart at this point. The you wouldn't. You'd threaten to chop off a head more than you would to put the tip of a blade to someone's throat. That's more of a sort of Three Musketeers thing. You would do it, but less often. It would be more demonstrative for the heart. Then again, actually no, because Celts placed a lot of importance in the head. I think they believed the head was the seat of the soul, and taking the head of an enemy was a gross insult and, you know, would deny him a proper burial, among other things. The king looks on aghast, and the intruder's warriors raise their voices in an uproar. But they've come in with him. So he has brought these people in here, and he's not acting like their prisoner. But now he's acting as if he's powerless to prevent them, meaning they may be more powerful than him. Queen Morrigan stands, her voice trembling with anger as she confronts the king, her husband. This is what we call a very, very dysfunctional marriage, by the way.
I let women and children wait before our gates to speak to their leaders first, and you bring armed men into our halls?
This sounds like these are not his soldiers. He's brought guests in, essentially, while our guests wait outside. She's saying, I've done the right thing and you have not. She's chiding him.
And you bear the Raider King's crown, but that gives you no right to attack my guests.
She locks eyes with the stranger. Indeed, if the Raider King is king, he is not king of this castle, but of another. He is the guest here. He does not have the power to act like this. He may believe he has the power to act like this, but he should not. So he is definitely overstepping the bounds of common courtesy. That will be extended to a royal guest in this kind of situation now. Casually take a weapon down from the wall. No, I wait. Wid's got this. People are whispering fearfully about the Raider King, and the stranger's smile widens. He may think it a joke, a jest. That someone, I like someone with a bit of spirit who stands up to me. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this man at the moment. While recent years have been peaceful, there's been a long history of blood feuds with their kingdom. Blood feuds among Iron Age Celts, yes. That's more of a Viking thing in the Dark Ages, but there were still some blood feuds among the Celts at that time, so this early on, yeah. Feuds very much a Northern Celtic and Scandinavian thing. Not so much a Eastern... It's P Celts and Q Celts, isn't it? Then again, you've got to remember the double D, the silent double D in the mid of Celt, so it's Kedelt, as the Romans and Greeks originally wrote it. I think the Greeks wrote it as Kedelt. So if you sub-vocalize it, it's kind of like Celtic people, you know, rather than just Celtic. And then you get these people who say celt, and that just doesn't work at all with the double D. Right.
I am keen, and I offer a simple exchange.
The stranger declares, his gaze fixed directly on the Queen. He's making demands. He should not be in a position to make demands unless he's in his own castle. So, well, no. He can make demands here, but they'll be taken less seriously because he's not on his home territory. Also, his portrait's flipped for some reason. The Queen makes a small gesture, and the captain lifts his blade an inch from the stranger's neck. The stranger sneers provocatively, but also lowers his blade, and Wid is free. Candlestick probably returning to the table.
I fight Romans with you.
His voice booms across. That's not really boring. It's like, I fight the Romans with you. Let's see, but grotesque. I fight the Romans with you. His voice booms across the hall once he reaches a safe distance from you and Wid. We haven't threatened him yet, but if a man can move that quickly with a candlestick, you better stay out of arm's reach.
And you give me a bride of royal blood.
He finishes with a nod towards Claire. So Claire is part of the royal family, even if several branches removed. That is a very low percent. I think the captain's not going to take this very well. The captain's face twists with anger at Keen laying claim to Claire. You can tell he's ready to explode, and we know he's looking for a fight. He feels protective of Claire. Let's go one on each of those and hold those to see if we learn any more about the Robber King. The Raider King, rather.
You knew about this when you led them here.
The Queen states, looking daggers at the King. He's gone over her head. He has the authority to do this, but it feels like he's a very weak king. This is an act of rebellion against a domineering, overbearing queen. Yes, I brought an army to defend this fort against Rome, the king proclaimed. Oh, sorry. Yes, I brought an army to defend this fort against Rome, the king proclaims with authority. You can see the guests are split. Some seem relieved, others don't trust the raiders. What do you make of this? He's a fool. We can't trust him as allies. In which case, why would he? Is he a fool though? Is that why he's doing it? He's done good. We need all the help we can get. +1 betrayal. Penalty increasing its betrayal blocks. A betrayal block tracks how betrayed by them you feel and how little allegiance. So this is betrayed by the Raider King, not betrayed by this king. I can't tell what's really going on. I'll try to understand the situation better. And I've got points here to spend, okay? Why would a king leave his own halls and the protection of the fort to meet with a rival outside? Indeed, to get away from his queen, implying he doesn't feel secure. If Keen wants Claire and the king wants an army, the smart thing would be to promise her to Keen after he fights, not before. So yes, perhaps this was he's bargaining from a position of weakness. Seeing the royal pair interact, it's plain that they're divided. It seems he brought Keen inside not only to gain an army against Rome, but to seize control from his wife. She rules without the king. I'd worked that out for myself pretty much. Not just in his absence either. What do you make of this? Do I think he's a fool just for going against her? No. I think he was a fool to bring in the Raider King with so many of his warriors. He should have made a lot of them wait outside. A house divided will fall. Indeed it will. The Queen and her guard are not going to yield to the king. She's staring at the captain, ready to give the order to fight.
I will go with King Keen.
Claire's voice diffuses the tension. That wasn't firm. Her voice wavered, and she sounded quite unhappy about this. Everyone looks at her in shock, and Keen sneers victoriously.
They cannot be.
Morrigan begins to object.
The ceremony can take place now at the sacred tree.
Claire interrupts her firmly. Keen cackles and signals his men, who were clearly prepared to take the hall by force, to stand down. I am going to presume that violence is forbidden at the sight of the sacred tree.
Neil, lead the way.
Something in the Queen's demeanour changes. Niall is a Hebridean name, isn't it, I think? She whispers something to Etain and nods towards Wid, meaning Etain is here. Etain disappears into the shadows. The king has enough sense to stay quiet, meaning he's got a bit of an idea what might be going on as well. What do you do? Claire, you can't do this. What do we do, Wid? Think it over. You can't believe Claire would willingly wed a vile man like Keen or trust his offer to ally against Rome. Vile not in appearance, but in aspect, in personality, in attitude. Your best proof that this is merely a tactical retreat is Niall playing along with Claire. Morrigan probably sent Etain to summon your warriors. Your people have suddenly become the force that could turn the tide in this royal feud, untrained though they may be. Following Claire will prove your loyalty, but involves mortal danger, while fetching reinforcements feels less dangerous, but still crucial. These choices affect story branching. Stay behind, so I can go... No. If they're going to head towards the site of the sacred tree, they're probably going to go unarmoured and unarmed to show goodwill, in which case they're going to be very vulnerable and need a lot of protection. What do we do? I can ask him. Right, I can object, and she won't like it. She'll think, you're spoiling my plan, you're ruining this. Asking Wid clues him into the fact that it makes him think about the situation, makes him ready, or we just follow.
Trust her, sister. She saved your life. She's smart.
He whispers, barely audible. Niall and the royal guard surround Claire and lead her out of the room. Keen gestures to his men and they open a corridor to let them pass. The Queen and King follow after them, the Queen pausing to gesture you and Wid to the front. Well, of course. I'm not going to stay in the hall. The Queen has given... doesn't matter it's the Queen. A member of the royal family has given us an order. We are not members of the royal family. We will obey. The Raider King and his men follow close behind you and the royal couple. Niall must have given instructions to the guard at the entrance because he's waiting with your weapons ready. And the Raider King shouldn't object to them being returned to us, as that is custom now that we're leaving. He leads you up towards the courtyard with the ceremonial tree. You see Etain sneaking towards the gate down below. Best not to draw attention to her then. Is that all us all up here? I think that's the Queen's hair. I think that is us getting towards this place. She's going off to get allies. And we don't want to draw the Raider King's attention to that. At least the Queen's unarmed guests are out of the way. Are now out of the way. Indeed, we're protecting innocence. But this place still feels like a trap. You admire that Queen Morrigan didn't make an excuse to stay behind, like many monarchs would. Weak monarchs, poor monarchs. This is the kind of risk you have to take as a leader. A plan starts to form as Claire falls to the back with her bow. If she's supposed to be coming here to get married to the guy, she shouldn't... Everyone's going to notice her falling back. She should be in front. The royal guards spread out instead of forming a shield wall. This could force the enemy to fan out as well and give Claire an open field for her bow. They're literally indicating that this is not going to end peacefully. The only one caught by surprise when Neil draws arms is the king. King's anger resistance check. I think he's going to be angry.
What is this? I am king, and I order you to...
He doesn't finish as Keen's men charge with a roar. The gleam in Keen's one eye tells you he's looking forward to the slaughter. You can only hope Etain returns with your warriors in time. What do? How in the nine hells did we end up here, Wid? Worst royal dinner ever. That's a very modern phraseology. It'd be more like, this has got to be the worst banquet I've ever been to. That'd be, yeah, something like that would be more... Protect Claire, Wid, no matter what. Plus, increasing his guilt. Let's not make him guilty. Stay quiet. No. How in the nine hells did we end up here, Wid?
Tell me about it.
Wid grumbles. As opposed to the classic shield wall tactic, you must avoid slamming into the mass running at you. Again, you feel the ground tremble as the enemy force descends upon you like a crashing wave. That's a lot of fear. Let's control our fear. There are people outside the walls waiting for me, needing me to get out safely, to protect them. But Claire's plan works. Gaps begin to appear in their lines as they spread out to cover every opponent, not as arrows fell them. The attackers are confident of their numbers and come at you with no plan or formation, giving us a plus 5% risk chain bonus. Because the Queen likes us, so her people are going to work well with us as opposed to sort of hampering us and not work with us. 1 of 10. Even if you dodge the first few, the long string of attackers will take you down. Focus, I'm going to boost it because I can afford to go down to about a 7 or 8, maybe even a 4. Oh, we got health as well. Excellent. Did we get more stuff here? No, no more stuff here. And no... Again, no wealth points for outfits. I know I've been charitable and given away a few wealth points, but still, if there's only going to be one more chapter and the developers want us to play with these a lot, they either have to give us a lot more wealth points, or the idea is that you only get a few, and we're not supposed to get very much. But literally, we don't have enough points to get most of these things. I mean, we can... There's upgrades we literally can't afford because we've never had enough points to achieve them at all. Alright, what have we got? I am incomplete. I can't trust them. No, I can trust these people. I have to, if I'm going to live. You clear your mind of all doubt, letting your training and instincts guide you, and your next move forms in your mind just in time. You surprise the first group by hurling your shield at them and launching yourself into the gap it creates. Yeah, generally that's like a shin throw, like low, or at the lower body. It's the sort of thing you do from like 10 or 15 feet away. It's not the sort of thing you do at a large distance. Blind parry. Well, I'm going to boost this as well because I want to live. You're too slow. A sharp pain bites into your shoulder. Gotta keep going then. The force of the opponent's swing spins you round, your sword arms shaken. Gotta hold on to that sword. You grit your teeth but manage to keep hold of your blade despite the crippling pain. It's okay, 1%, we're getting points back. You can't even see who wields the blade, you just know it's coming at your head. Duck! 93 was a bit of a risk. Well, it was a pretty small risk. Hey, you duck just in time, the blade whisking through your hair. You emerge unscathed inside the running mob. Hey, and that's really nice hair as well. We put points into that. It's beautiful hair, but it's not prestigious. The next runner readies his shield to bash into you. Guess what? When he bashes, I won't be there. I got 22 points. Okay, I can spend a few of those. Your roll gets you to safety just in time. And these shields, they're kind of like the Scottish Taj, which is more of a Renaissance or post-Renaissance shield than that's a lot of metal in the middle. From the corner of your eye, you see Niall abandoning his position, hacking at the enemies, eyes mad with rage. He may overextend himself. We've got to be careful of that. Finally, with no one coming at you, your mind snaps into offensive mode. The back rank didn't expect you to survive, and their guard is down. I want to beat one senseless. 82, I'll take it. Utilizing your body's momentum, use the flat of your blade to easily knock him out. The next one is running straight into you. Should that be more of a dodge than a duck? You turn your back and duck, and his momentum carries him over your shoulder. Okay, so we've got enough points to get through this fight reasonably well so far. That's good. You sense another attacker approaching you at a run. Oh, gotta do the backstab. Failure means death. Trip him up. So, like, crouch low. Now, let's go overkill here. Relying on your reflexes, you stab without looking and feel your blade sink deep. Iron Age and Bronze Age is likely to be a shorter sword than a longer sword, so it won't. So that must have been really close. I'm doing this because we're building up a lot of control points right now, so I can afford to spend motivation and replenish it. The one you threw over your shoulder is getting back to his feet. Finish him! You're too slow, but one of Claire's arrows takes him out and his sword slips from his hand. So we failed. Nothing too bad happened from there. But Claire might have failed as well. You notice Niall's rampage coming to an end as he drops to one knee, his flesh livid with cuts. A trail of bodies lies in his wake, but one raider is coming up from behind him to finish him. Throw to kill! Hurl it! You throw your blade and it plunges deep into the raider's neck, and now I don't have it. You emerge from your frenzy and collect the blade from the man on the ground. It's near enough, it'll do. There is a roaring in your ears. You recognize it as your own. You're bloodied and banged up, but you're still standing. It only took one hit so far. The remaining men balk and scurry away. No one survives such odds by accident. Morrigan is rushing towards Niall, who has collapsed. Not towards the king. You meet her gaze and her usual reserve breaks. Her eyes well up and she whispers, "Thank you." Your relief is short-lived as you find yourself directly opposite Keen, his face an emotionless mask. Why me? Still highly focused from surviving the onslaught, you act faster. We're back into turn-based combat. He's got 15 health on R11, 15 motivation points on R16, plus 19% perceived threat. Yep, I've done really well. He thinks I'm a threat. And he's not angry or scared at the moment. What do? Observe, provoke, intimidate, attack. Provoke. No, observe. Looking at his men, you can tell this won't be a fair fight, but Claire's arrows will keep them occupied, so your tricks may pass unnoticed. The raiders also limit your movement, so using the ceremonial tree to your advantage is not an option. So we can't back up to it defensively. Or try and climb up it and then drop down on him or something. You listen for sounds of battle at the main gate or help coming, but can't hear anything beyond the melee around you. He looks at you angrily, looking for a way to best you. So he's boosting his attack. Better get ready to defend. Ugh, okay. Oh, that's... He goes for a deft swing aimed at your legs. Block, dodge, or counter. I'll just go for the dodge. So I'll have to skip back. Gotta take it. His attempt lacks speed and you sidestep it safely, so you need to ask why. He's testing your defences, lady. At least that defence penalty's gone. It gives you the space to make your next move. I'm going to try make him angry. He's an experienced warrior. I don't think I'm going to be able to outsmart him. Or necessarily scare him, but I might be able to goad him into acting rashly. You draw upon your confidence. Confidence, not coincidence. Flex casually, an ignorant dodge. Not arrogant dodge, ignorant dodge. Dodge and slap, sure. Patronize him. Or like, oh yeah, you're so good. No, dodge and slap. He leaps and slashes down with a high attack. You manage to dodge his strike and use the opportunity to slap his face. Okay, that's more of a hand slap than with the flat of the blade. But hopefully it'll set... Anger 9! Adds force and speed to his moves, weakens his precision and makes him less... So he won't make head hits, so 26. He turns red with anger as you playfully show your skill and dominance. An extra move gained. Awesome. What do? I've made him angry, I'll attack. Digging deep, you find resolve to stay in the fight. Select a target. I'll go for his weapon arm, and a boost. You graze his arm and he winces in pain. Hey look, it's damage, I'll take it. Okay. Just a point, it's narrowing the gap. He fumes with rage but regains control. So he's basically hit the control button. Alright. With one swift motion he throws a dagger, which I will attempt to dodge. Grazing strike for 2. You're too late and it strikes your shoulder painfully. That's not a grazing strike. How do you react for pain? Smile in pretense. Vent. No, I'll just go... Rah! You wince in pain. Giving him a few points of renown, it's fine. You can see the pleasure in his eyes, because he's an evil bastard. Gotta get rid of that somehow, so... Try and outsmart him, just in case I can. You remember your training. Pretend to be scared of him. 5 times. Renown feat. A feat of renown? What would that be? Radical attack. No, I'll pretend to be scared. First, you need to create a crisis for him to fall for the ruse. Pretend to slip while you dodge. You manage to dodge his strike and pretend to slip. He doesn't suspect anything and moves closer. I'm not going to drop my weapon. That's going to put me in too much of a bad situation. Pretend terror. You frantically crawl away and he falls for your trick, a cruel smile crossing his face. He's getting close. Keep your wits about you. Stop. Wait. I wait for him to come closer, or I stop so he will... Is this stop pretending? I stop. You failed to get up quickly enough. Oh shit. He prepares to strike. Fuck it. Go, 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 go. This is stupid. You dodge and find an opening to strike him the same move. For a heartbeat, his side is exposed. Kill! Your strike is true and catches him off guard. I doubt I'll kill him, but I'll get a bit of damage in there. And he has a very high Talon's friendship, the eagle. Is it going to come in for the distraction and like maul his face while I'm stabbing him? Up ahead you register Talon descending at incredible speed. This is new, I didn't have this before. His shriek splits the air as he aims for a full-on collision with you. When I played this before, I was badly wounded. He captured Claire and dragged her off, and we had to rally the warriors and rescue her outside the sacred grove. You instinctively jump to the side and avoid his talons as a spear narrowly misses the back of your leg. Hopefully that was an attempt to protect me. A coward stabbed at you from behind to save their leader. It's just like Game of Thrones. No, just like Game of Thrones. His attack left him exposed, and talons sink deep into his face, and that's why you don't call a bird of prey Talon, because you might have to talk about Talon's talons. You continue tumbling on the ground and narrowly escape another thrust, the blade screeching against the frozen earth.
We need him to distract that oafish brother of his.
You hear Keen holding his men back and talking to you as if you're a man, suddenly, somehow, for some reason. Might want to check that voiceover there. You realise this man is not swayed by emotions or honour. He stays focused on his goal, and he's an evil bastard, as we've already established. Yep, he is cold and calculating, alright. Except for that one time when I managed to make him really angry and a little overconfident. Weird abandons Claire and rushes through the melee towards you, knocking men from his path, which makes Claire vulnerable. Which means the fight has ended, so the kill wasn't necessarily a kill, but it did end the fight very quickly. Keen spots Weird coming to rescue you too and grumbles, "Finally!" He sounds a signal on his horn, and a group of men he was keeping in reserve pours into the courtyard to descend on Claire. What do? "Wit, protect Claire!" Wid running to your rescue feels like the only thing that can help you from certain death, and the words stick. "No, I must!" You realise he cannot hear you over the raging battle. As Keen raises his sword to stab you to the ground, a desperate plan forms in your mind. You need to roll to the side, and quickly roll back, and use your body weight to snap the sword from his hand. You could pretend the spear injured your leg so he won't expect you to move quickly. Wait for Keen to stab down with full force, then the point of his blade should stick to the ground. Wait until the last moment, and boost! You suppress your instinct to dodge the bright blade for a moment longer. He assumes a balanced stance and thrusts his blade downwards with both hands. Left is best. Why right? It's to do with the leg that's pretending to be injured, isn't it? Speed? No, left is best. His blade narrowly misses you and the tip plunges into the ground. Roll back and use your weight to knock Keen's sword from his hands. Roll to the right. You roll back and use your body mass to knock the sword from Keen's grip. 98 was worth it. And I stand by that decision. He staggers back, and while you struggle to haul yourself up on one leg, he reaches for his throwing knife. The one in my shoulder? Without a shield, it'd be very difficult to avoid the throw. No, a different throwing knife. Or he got it back. I must have... Perhaps I pulled it out earlier and he's picked it up again. You do your best to get out of the way and brace for the pain. This is going to hurt like hell, and I can't boost this one. Your instincts save you once again, but Weird is less fortunate. In fact, he probably wasn't even throwing it at me. I just happened to be in the way. I'm not the objective here. Wid is, apparently. When you stop tumbling, you see that in his rush to protect you, he has ended up in your place. Oh, that makes me angry. 5 whole points of anger. He is clutching the side of his neck and blood is gushing from beneath his hand. Oh, that is not good. We're back where we were last time, I think. What do? Yeah, look, I've got to protect him. My brother's life is at risk. As you're getting up, Claire is dragged into your field of view. You glance towards the entrance, hoping to see Attain leading your men, but no one is coming. You register Niall lying on the ground, the Queen protecting him and the King crawling away on all fours, abandoning them both, like the craven coward that he is. Keen moves in to finish you once and for all. Oh, friendship? Claire attempts to wrest herself free but fails. She's not... It does, however, distract Keen, and when the sound of alarm horns coming from the gate cuts the air, he stops advancing towards you. Leave the cub, sister, for them to save, he orders his men. It will delay pursuit. You're surprised he would give up on killing you so easily, but he's right. Your people will favour rescue over fighting. With an air of victory, he escorts Claire across the battlefield as his men fall in to cover the retreat. So much for it being a sacred place. What do you do, knock an arrow? No, save Wid. Brother needs saving. You get to your feet and hasten towards Wid. He's slumping closer to the ground with every spurt of blood. His gaze is turning glassy, but his eyes begin to focus when he recognizes you. What do? Gotta stop the bleeding, man. That's a negative experience. What? Because he's tear strip from his shirt and... Yeah, sure. Why didn't you stay with Claire? No, don't... Now's not the time. We can talk about that later. Wid's hands slip from beneath the cloth, but you're eventually able to stop the bleeding. You quickly look around, seeing Queen Morrigan kneel next to the king. He's not moving. She probably killed him. She turns and freezes when you're looking her way. Yes. Even if she didn't kill him, it looks like she did. And she doesn't know if she can trust me. But seeing Wid's injury, she rushes over to your side with a torch and a metal sconce. Seeing that she intends to use the hot bronze to cauterize his wound, Wid nods. I've got to help. Yeah, hold his hand. He's my brother. I can't let him down. He doesn't react, and you brace yourself for the horror. He's tough. He's probably not going to thrash around too much. He must have passed out during the process because he makes no sound as the stench of burnt flesh rises to the sky. I check his pulse. You feel the stirrings of panic as you can't immediately detect a pulse. It's faint, but it's there, and the wound has been properly cauterized. Your eyes well up with relief. He'll live. Pardon? Okay. So, if I ask about the captain of the guard, she'll be more likely to forgive... She's been shagging him, hasn't she? Look, she's going to distrust me if I ask how the king's doing. Stay quiet. Thank her. Thank you, my queen. Are you injured? She's more important than the guards.
Don't worry. I'll live.
She replies and stands up to check on the others. Only now that Wid is safe do you notice she cauterized a wound of her own. That's why she had the sconce to hand. Her injury must make it difficult to stand because she staggers. Reach out, let her find her own footing. No, I'll try and help. She grabs your hand for support, nevertheless, and you end up standing close to each other. And that's a failure. The failure is that we're standing too close to each other, and that's a problem. Step back once she's stable, or stand still. She needs to be seen to be strong as a ruler, so I'll wait till she can stand on her own then. Thank you for saving my son, she says in a voice thick with emotion. Who is her son? What the what? How do you react? I have no idea who she's talking about. He's indispensable. So the captain of the guard is her son. I didn't save her son. What? That makes no sense. I didn't see that before. An alarm horn blasts from the direction of the main gate, and Wid stirs as if recognizing the sound. Etain must have finally reached your men. A glimmer of hope stirs you to life. Your people might still hold the gate and prevent Keen from leaving with Claire. This is hard. But you also question whether they'll follow your lead and if it's wise to risk losing more men. What do? Stay with Wid? Think this over? And then I'm probably going to go for option 3. There's no telling what Keen will do next, even if you let him leave with Claire. If there's any way to stop him, you should take the chance. Your people are in a good position, but without Wid's leadership, they won't act in unison. We need to get him there and standing up so it looks like he's not dead. Blowing the alarm on Wid's horn is a good start. Your fighters will recognize the signal and wait for Wid before releasing Keen. Etain's signal stirred him from unconsciousness, but he'll need your support to get out to the courtyard. I'll blow Wid's horn. In response, you blow the alarm on Wid's horn, and recognizing your intent, Morrigan hastens to your side. Wid's eyes blink in and out of focus. Oh, he's in a lot of pain. His eyes finally focus on you, but he remains lying on the ground. If you want to do this, now is the time. I'm going to have to help him up. Oh, bugger! As much as you want this, you're too exhausted and the 3 of you collapse to the ground. Oh, that is really rough. You hear the sound of the gate slamming shut, and you know that Claire is lost forever. Act 2, ending. A lost feud. Previously it wasn't lost forever. We did get our warriors to stand against Keen, the Raider King. We lost a rank on the ratings poll? Yeah, sure. So our warriors stood against him, but he was able to intimidate them into letting him pass and took her away, but she wasn't lost forever. It was just the story may have gone towards trying to rescue her in future. That is the end of Act 2 currently. Let's see how this goes. Congratulations, you've reached one of the endings in this build that moved the story forward. This build represents the first 2 of the 3 acts of the story. We can't wait to share more scenes to explore, including the rescue mission you saw in the intro. Please let us know what you think about Sacred Fire in the forums and on my Discord server, and help us improve the game. If you've enjoyed your time with Sacred Fire, please consider recommending it to your friends. Thank you. Every choice counts. And we're back on the title screen. There we are. Sadly, Claire was dragged away by the Raider King, and we were unable to protect her. I'm sure if any of you play this, you may be able to get different results there, but it is a very tough risk chain once you get into it. I do feel that the fight in the Sacred Grove is very sacrilegious, feels like something almost beyond the pale for the Celts. But in the course of this story, it kind of makes sense. I will look forwards to the 3rd act becoming available, and when it does, I'll be sure to record it again for all you guys. Maybe we'll even have a few more character customization options by that point. And of course, the game continues working its way slowly towards release. I'm going to end this one here. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, long though it has been in the coming. And I do look forward to seeing you all in the very next video I upload, whatever that may be. I'm going to say goodbye for now though, and cheerio everyone. See you all next time.